Hey everyone, hope all is well. This is educational video number 2. We'll be going over role reversal, support resistance, and price versus volume. So on my screen here, you can see an illustration of what role reversal is. Okay, role reversal, identifying support resistance is very important in trading. It's actually the number one thing you need to do when you get to a chart that you've never, or a stock or ETF that you've never looked at before. Okay, it's very, very important. So what role reversal is, kind of with this illustration here, okay, it's when support is broken, okay, that support becomes resistance, and vice versa. When resistance is broken, it becomes support. Okay, so very easily in this illustration, you can see that whatever the stock is, it's going down, right? It finds support, it bounces. Okay. Then it fails here. So now that support becomes resistance. So you can expect when the stock gets back up to this level for a rejection. Okay. It's very easy to see. And this is very, very important because, like it says here, okay, if you're trading, oftentimes your support resistance levels are going to be your stops, right? So if I'm looking to buy calls here, okay, this is going to be my stop out. Okay, if let's say it doesn't bounce, let's say it goes down, my stop is going to be there. Okay, and then same thing, let's say I'm going to buy puts here. Okay, this level is going to be my stop. Okay, if the stock ends up going higher, I'm getting stopped out. So that's one reason why this is very important. Another reason is this will be telling you where to get out. Okay, if let's say I'm in puts, let's say I'm buying puts up here, and this is going to be my exit level, right? Because I'm going to assume there's going to be some support there. So I'm going to be exiting the trade. Okay, and the same with calls. If I'm in calls, this is going to be my exit. Okay, so it's very important to know what role reversal is. We're going to get to setting up support resistance after this, but again, very important. Okay, when support's broken, it becomes resistance, and when resistance is broken, it becomes support. So just going backwards now, if the stock is going up, gets rejected, down, comes up, breaks resistance, now that resistance line is support here. Okay, so this is very, very important. Okay, to know what role reversal is. Now going to a chart and identifying support resistance levels. Okay, this is sometimes not easy for people. Okay, this could be one of the hardest things to do in technical analysis. Some people it comes very easily, other people it doesn't. Okay, so basically the easiest way to do this is identify those levels that are very, very obvious, that hit you in the face, that are just sticking out to you, right? I have this line here that I'm just going to use to make other lines, but so looking at this chart right away, let's say I'm going to go left to right, right? Obviously this would be one for me here, but I already have the line there. Okay. This would be a level, okay, which actually matches up with this, which we'll get to. Okay, those levels here is an obvious one. You could say this would be an obvious one. Okay, here, right? I'm not going to go much lower because I don't need to for this example and what I'm going to show. But so those are the levels, right? Now, so if I go here, and for anyone who uses TradingView, the easiest way to draw your lines is, I mean, you have one line, just clone it. Okay. So I'm going to go to those levels. Now, you have to understand that when you're putting support resistance levels in, or if you're going to be trading those, they're not exact. Okay. They're just general areas. Okay. So I put that line here. This was another one. And then I'll just do one more. I'll put that other one. I think it was there or here. Either way, we could just put it, I'll just put it there for this example. Okay. All right. So now that I have my lines in, okay, I'm not a person that draws 1,000 lines on the chart. Some people do. I'm not saying that's wrong, but my preference is to keep it clean and simple. Sometimes when you have a lot of lines in, it could, you know, mess up your trading as far as getting in and out. And, you might be getting in and out too soon. If you have a bunch of lines and then you may overthink. I don't like a lot of lines, but again, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, shorter time frames, if you're day trading, like Leviathan, I mean, he's got a ton of lines on his chart, and you need that maybe with day trading or short time frames. For me, doing swing trading week to week, month out, whatever, I like the less lines for me, the better. Okay. So now that I have those lines in, let's go back to role reversals, right? So here, I can tell you this was support if I go back on the chart. I'm not going to do that. But so this support line was broken, okay, clearly broken. So what do we say? Support broken turns to resistance, right? So we can see how that played out perfectly there, right? So that support broken was resistance, okay? They came up here, hard rejection, okay? Now we have another support line here, okay? Again, general area doesn't have to be exact. I could actually probably have moved this line up a little bit. That's fine. So we see the support, okay, broken, okay, resistance, resistance, resistance. Okay, we see that. Again, general area, but obviously they're hard rejection. Here it didn't even get up that high, maybe because the averages were there. Here, hard rejection, okay? So support broken becomes resistance, okay? So again, coming down, okay, let's just drop down to this level here, support, okay? We could see the bounce, okay? Came up, went right through that resistance line, maybe stopped for a day, but again, got up here, back to resistance, okay? Hard rejection, okay? So again, resistance there, right? So this is very important. You have to do this. If you don't do this, you're trading blind, you're trading in the dark. How do you know where to get in? How do you know where to exit? Okay. Very, very important. Just with this example, let's say I'm going to buy calls here. Okay. I know my hard exit is there. Okay. Same thing here. If I'm going to buy calls here, I'm going to exit there and hard exit there. Okay. It's very easy to see that. A lot of times what I do is if I see a very big level, in this case resistance, I will exit the trade and wait to see what happens. One of two things are going to happen here. Okay, it's either going to get rejected like it did, or it'll break and now this resistance becomes support, and then I'm going to look for a move like that. If I see the support hold there, maybe I'll grab calls. Maybe it's going to go up to this level where I will get out, okay? This is why it's extremely important. You cannot do technical analysis without putting support resistance lines in. It's super important, okay? And if people have a hard time identifying this, what you could do is you could scale out to a weekly, okay? I use this a lot. When in doubt, scale it out, okay? And it's funny, you will see when you do this that these levels do line up on the weekly. Okay, so you can see the rejection there, you could see the rejection there, you could see the rejection there, the support there, right? So if you have a hard time on a daily, go to the weekly, put the lines in. A lot of times that will translate to the daily chart. Okay, when in doubt, scale it out. So again, this is very important to do. All I can tell you is the more you do this, the more charts you look at, the better you're going to get, the easier it's going to come to you. So you have to put in the work. You have to practice. Look at as many charts a week as you can. Trust me, you're going to get better at this. It will come easy to you to the point where you're just pumping out those support resistance lines. And you have to put this in, have to use these for your trading. Okay, it's absolutely important. Okay, so moving on, I'm going to go to the next subject here, which is price versus volume. This is extremely important. A lot of traders don't look at volume. That's a huge mistake, okay? They ignore it. They don't look at it. It's the last thing on their list. It should be one of the first things on your list. Okay. First thing that I look at when I look at a chart is what's the volume doing? Okay. Volume is a leading indicator. Okay. Like it says down here, notice how volume drops before prices reverse. Okay. This is spot on. Okay. Put this in your memory bank. When volume drops, it leads to reverses, bounces, whatever the stock may be doing, up or down. Okay. So you have to pay attention to this. They're using the SPY in this example. So you could see here as the SPY is going up, what is happening below as the SPY is going up? Well, the volume is dropping pretty hard, right? We can see that. Hard volume drop. Even to the point where it get down that low, okay? When you see this, you have to take action, okay? Look, this could even be a resistance line that we talked about just a minute ago, okay? What happens? SPY rolls over and then heads back lower. Okay, this tells me the buyers are leaving, they're losing interest, they're taking their profits, maybe because they see this resistance level, whatever the reason is, buyers are drying up. Okay, this leads to exhaustion, it leads to rolling over, it leads to reversals. So you have to pay attention. If you're in calls here and you start to see the volume drop, you need to make plans to exit your trade. Okay, you have to do that. And this is also very important, a really good here illustration that when the SPY is dropping, what's going on below now? The volume is going up on the way down. That is telling me the sellers are in control. You do not want to step in here to buy calls in this example when you see the volume going up, okay? You have to wait for the volume to drop. You have to wait for the signal that maybe the sellers are leaving, okay? And all it could take is one day on this arrow. Look, you don't necessarily need to see consecutive days. It could be one day of that volume drop where you get that reversal back up in this example, okay? So you have to pay attention to volume, okay? If you're trading, look at the volume. It's going to give you an early sign to you need to get out of your trade, start making plans to get out, okay? Another way, a good illustration for this is think of the volume as the wind, okay? If you're flying a kite, volume is the wind, the kite is your stock, okay? As the wind is blowing harder, as the wind is strong, the stock or the kite is going to go up, right? Strong wind, strong volume, stock, kite go higher, okay? Once you take away the wind, okay, the wind is gone, or the wind is subsiding, whatever you want to say, the kite will start to drop, or the stock, right? So we can see that here. They're showing you the stock is going up, volume is going up, but what happens now? Remember, it only could take one day, but the volume or the wind is going down. So what does that lead to? A reversal, right? Or a top. So think of the volume as the wind, the stock as the kite. Take away the wind, kite will start to drop, stock will start to drop, okay? So think of it that way. If you need to, doesn't matter how you think of it, just pay attention to the volume, okay? So now if we go to a chart, okay, and I'm using EMN because we just recently, shout out to Jesse, I think, who's in puts with me. I did take some puts here. Why did I take puts? Look what's happening here on this stock. Now we had earnings, okay, yes, I understand. You know, it had earnings here, it popped on the earnings, but look what happened up here now. Now, this line again, going back, is resistance that I have here, okay? Broken, now this line will become resistance. So this line is a resistance line. So it's no surprise to me that the stock rolled over right almost to the penny on that resistance line, but that's not where we're going over right now. Look below with the stock up here. What happened? It only took, you got the earnings volume pump. It only lasted one day, right? But look what's happening now. The volume is clearly going lower, right? And whoa, coincidence, the stock is rolling over now, right? So again, you cannot ignore volume. You have to pay attention what's going on with the volume. The volume is the breath or the wind for the stock or the kite. Okay. When you see this volume drop up or down, you have to pay attention. Okay. And you need to make plans to exit, right? So this was just an example here on EMN. I thought it was a really good example since it is a fresh stock that we looked at, and me and some of us are trading, right? So I hope this helped. Again, the more stocks, the more charts you look at, the better you're going to get a technical analysis. Moving forward in these educational videos, which we're going to be putting out a lot more, everything we go over, take that, apply it, practice, put in the work, look at as many charts as you can. You're going to get better at it. Believe me when I tell you that, okay? So that's it for today. Look for more videos coming out, and we will talk to you soon. Take care.